To the Monday, June 20th, 2022 meeting of the Town of Woodbury Board of Police Commissioners. It is now 6:15. Call the meeting to order. First item on our agenda is the approval of the minutes. All commissioners are eligible to vote with the exception of Commissioner Capella. Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
I'll move them.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Is there any discussion? Okay. All those in favor, I guess it's a lot easier in Zoom to see everyone. I have to do a roll call. Is that still the rule?
Yep.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Passes unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you.
The next item on the agenda, is that just a Zoom roll call? Okay. Is public comments. Is there anyone from the public that indicated they wish to be heard? Did we receive any correspondence? Okay, so a negative to both. The next item on our agenda is the executive session to conduct certified officer and dispatch candidate interviews. Is there a motion to move into executive session? Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, thank you. In addition to the commission members, we'll have the chief, deputy chief, and Janice join us in that executive session. Everyone else is required to leave the room. You're welcome to come back when we reopen. Welcome back. Executive session is finished. It's now 7:31. There were no votes taken during executive session. We conducted interviews of dispatch candidates and a certified officer. Is there a motion to present a conditional offer to, get his full name correct,
What are you talking?
Patrick Meehan?
So move. I'll second.
If I can make a modification to that or an amendment to that, he would be hired at a grade B salary with 5 vacation days. At the completion of 1 year service, his pay will move to grade A, and after completion of 1 year service, he will receive 10 vacation days. This offer is conditional on his passing a polygraph. Is there anything else that I missed in that?
No.
Okay. Is there any discussion?
A doctor's physical also in drug.
Okay. If that amendment can include not just physical. All those in favor?
Aye.
Carries unanimously. Thank you. Is there a motion to hire Yesenia Newton-Lewis for the position of police dispatcher?
So moved.
Is there a second? Okay.
I'll move it.
Is there any further discussion?
I'll just note that I'll abstain because I have not interviewed all of the candidates, so I apologize.
That's okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. That also carries unanimously with 1 abstention. Commissioner Capel. The next item on the agenda is the review of the reports. The first item is the financial report.
Okay, in regards to the past fiscal year's budget, the finance department is currently working to closing out final billings and reimbursements for the past fiscal year. But looking where we're at the end of June and reviewing it again on July 11th, we were still at 96.7%. So with that, we expect to finish out the past fiscal year remaining within budget. And currently, we're only a few weeks into the new fiscal year, 22-23. And at this point, most of our expenditures are all contractual related stipends and mandatory operational requirements, such as annual dues, contract renewals, encumbrances, and running purchase orders. So not too much else to report on the financial report as we're just a few weeks in.
Does anyone have any questions?
All right. Have we seen with our new dispatcher, has that having any effect on overtime yet? Or is he not?
No, not yet, because he just started. He's in training, so
He's still in
counts
training?
minimum manpower.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah. So no effect on overtime with that yet.
No issues?
With him? No, I'll report on when we get the personnel, but no issues. All good.
Is there a motion to approve the financial report?
I'll move it.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? Any discussion, Mr. Taylor? All those in favor?
Aye.
That carries unanimously. Next item on the agenda is the activity report.
Yeah, just update you a little bit on the activity for the past 2 months. We had one burglary that was on May 5th. Attempted burglary up on Robin Road. Resident heard noises at night in the early morning hours, and later that morning when the daylight came, they found the rear casement window broken, but no entry had been gained, and there was no alarm activation, and no entry made of that, as I said. June 4th, we had a bomb threat at the JCC just before 9 a.m. That threat came in, indicating that there was a bomb on the premises to go off at a designated time later. And our detective bureau on-duty personnel responded with fire. But ISU is working on the investigation in conjunction with the FBI, as it was similar in nature to others that have been called in throughout the nation. So there's no imminent threat there. We had 4 family disputes, just various family disputes over the last 2 months. During the months of May and June, we had a total of 18 fraud investigations. Those involved things such as online incidents, check washing, bank account, fraudulent bank account activity, identity theft, fraudulent accounts being opened. The deputy ran some of the numbers comparing the first 6 months of last year to the first 6 months of this year. And these types of investigations we found were up to be about 79%, with 29 such investigations in 2021 during the first 6 months, and first 6 months this year we're up to 56. So that's an increase with that. We had a few gunshot calls, 3 actually during the last 2 months. One was on May 11th that I previously reported that occurred on Rimmon Road just before 10 o'clock, multiple gunshots. We brought in a canine from Milford. They didn't find any victims, but they did locate a crime scene, and they recovered a bunch of casings. Those casings were sent to the lab, and they were, without divulging too much, they were linked up to another incident that had occurred in the surrounding jurisdiction, so that's still under investigation. Then we had a couple more reports of gunshots, one in the Peach Road area, and then one in the evening on June 3rd at Rimmon Road, Fountain Street area with multiple gunshots heard, but nothing found. We had a total of 11 larcenies for the months of May and June in various areas, but included things involving theft of a catalytic converter, a couple shoplifting incidents from one of the local establishments, theft of a key fob, and attempted theft of a motor vehicle from a patron at one of the local coffee shops. We had a theft of a high-end bicycle at the bicycle shop in town, which was later recovered just over the line upon Lily Avenue area. We had some check altering cases, and we had a larceny of building materials from a construction site on Northrop Road that the midnight shift was able to make an arrest on, and the materials were since recovered. And also larcenies seem to be up as well in the first 6 months of this year compared to the first 6 months of last year, from 19 in the first 6 months of 2021, it's up to 34 this year. We had a few larcenies from motor vehicles that thankfully went way down from where we were last year. 30 in the first 6 months of 2021 versus only 17 the first 6 months of this year. But these larcenies include areas on Newton Road, Amity Road, Cedar Road, Deer Run Ridge, and Beecher Road, and Ansonia Road. And they're predominantly the unlocked vehicles at night, although a couple did occur during the day at some of the businesses. We had 3 stolen vehicles over the last 2 months. One was stolen at the end of May, and that was from a Beecher Road residence. Keys left in the vehicle and was stolen. overnight. Again, on the May 31st, there was a vehicle stolen overnight. Again, keys left in the vehicle. That was on Deer Run Ridge. That vehicle was recovered the next day in Hamden. The one prior to that I mentioned was recovered the next day, a week later in New Haven. And then more recently, on the end of June 30th, about 5:30 in the morning, we had a stolen car from the local gas station convenience store down on the Litchfield Turnpike. Person left the car running with the keys in and went inside. Gentleman jumped in the car and took off. And that was recovered later the same day in New Haven. We had one suicide to report tragically that happened on the 16th of June, and it was a suicide that took place at a private residence. It involved a firearm, and ISU assumed that investigation and is following up on that. And we had a suspicious car fire that I reported just prior to our meeting last month that occurred on Route 69 in Dillon overnight, where a car used in a shooting in Norwalk was set ablaze and left abandoned there. And ISU was working with Norwalk PD and with the fire marshal. Our fire marshal and ISU did a search warrant for the criminal forensic analysis of the vehicle. And just to make you aware, the last month and a few times this month, we had several trespassing incidents up at Spry Park, Spry Falls, to be more specific. And they all involve large groups congregating up there again, involve trespassing, illegal swimming, drinking, littering, debris being thrown and left behind, beer cans and such. So that prompted a lot of complaints to us and also to the water authority, regional water authority by the public. And the regional water authority did reach out to the town hall last week, specifically on Friday, and shared their concerns, and they recommended that, as we did a year or two ago during COVID, that the dirt portion of Spry Road be closed for the summer to try to curtail that activity. So that was done. That information was confirmed with myself in the Recreation Department, and Spry Park Commission, and Public Works, and everybody agreed that they had no problem with that. So last Friday the gate was re-locked up there, and hopefully things will subside for the time being. Just to report on ISU, during May and June, ISU assumed 13 new cases. They picked up the shots fired case with shell casings on Rimmon Road, the car fire 69 that I just mentioned, shoplifting. They've been doing certified officer and dispatch candidate background checks. They also attended training for accident and crime scene mapping, new software that we were able to obtain through the JAG grant. They went through training for that. And they're also working in conjunction with the state's attorney's office for trial preparation from the June 2021 Peach Road homicide up there. So that was that. And that was from May, and in June they assumed the bomb scare investigation at the JCC and the suicide that I mentioned, and they also attended training to deal with counterterrorism. And as far as our SROs go, both of our SROs successfully completed their regular academic school responsibilities in June. So Officer Sapione, who was at the high school, has been reassigned to patrol for the summer, and during July and August, he'll also be further reassigned periodically to conduct our departmental firearms qualifications and also active shooter training that we have upcoming. And Officer Lynch, as you know, he's funded by the Woodbridge Board of Ed, so he remains at Beecher Road School for the summer to cover the activities that go on there all summer, Woodbridge Recreation and summer enrichment and other programs that are going at the school. And then also, in the middle of all that, they try to squeeze out vacation time that they've accrued throughout the year, but they're not really able to use it during the school year. And our one of our detectives assigned in ISU is also our IT person, as you know, and he's been remaining busy with our infrastructure upgrade. And that's all I have for the criminal activity and the motor traffic and motor vehicle activity. I'll turn over to the deputy chief.
During the month of May, Woodbridge Police responded to 25 motor vehicle accidents. In the month of June, 27 motor vehicle accidents. During the month of May, our department made 112 motor vehicle stops. And in the month of June, 105 motor vehicle stops. 101 motor vehicle stops. So breaking down our activity over a 6-month period between January 1st and June 30th of 2021, we had responded to 115 motor vehicle accidents compared to this year in the same time period, 158 motor vehicle accidents, which is an increase of 47% over the first 6 months. As far as our traffic stops, it made 105 traffic stops between January 1, 2021 and June 30, 2021, compared to 736 this year, which is an increase of 600%. Our speed trailer's been deployed on Baldwin Road, Center Road, and Ansonia Road throughout the month of June.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve the activity report?
I'll make motion.
Thank you. Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Carries unanimously. Next item on our agenda is the report of the chief.
The first topic I just want to update you on is our S2 door entry system project. In the recent capital budget funding, the monies for that installation of the administratively controlled and monitored door access system was approved for this fiscal year. And then recently I received a waiver of the bid process from the Selectmen and Board of Finance to allow us to use the same company's JKS Systems, who have already installed the same type system throughout many of the other town municipal buildings, so just to keep everything uniform. I've been in contact with the vendor at JKS, and he's currently in the process of ordering the components. So we're hoping to start the project as soon as possible. It's long overdue, but everything's still contingent on the availability of the parts. And so as soon as we hear more about that, I will keep you updated. An update on our intercom replacement and repair project that was recently completed by Norcom. As I reported, the building's old intercom system was failing. The master base system located in dispatch had to be replaced, along with several inoperable intercom access points throughout the building. So all that's been done, replaced, and the system's now up and running and operational. The next topic was through the South Central Chiefs of Police Association, in conjunction with the U.S. Secret Service, a multi-agency, multi-interdisciplinary initiative was launched, comprised of agencies within the judicial districts of New Haven, Middlesex, and Ansonia Derby that I plan to have us participate in as well. The mission of the group, it's an investigative group, is to employ the latest techniques and investigative tools to examine technological-based evidence during the investigation of criminal offenses. So they call it the Shoreline Technical Crimes Investigative Group, and at this point it includes personnel from the police departments of Brantford, Clinton, East Haven, Guilford, Madison, North Brantford, Wallingford, Milford, and we'll participate in that as well. The partnership will provide us with a prompt, readily accessible technological and forensic analysis investigative assets, because it will enable each agency to benefit from the group's collective resources and collective training and collaboration to perform joint investigations. So for us as a small agency, we're tasked daily with these crimes that are involving all internet and technology-based things, just like all the frauds that I told you in the Larcenies, they're all up. So it couldn't come for us at a more opportune time. And additionally, all the training, certification, equipment is coordinated and provided to the members. It's all free of charge. The Secret Service coordinates it all, so that everybody will have the most up-to-date information, not only to conduct our investigations, but also to provide public information to the public regarding internet and cybersecurity type issues. And our only obligation is a minimal membership fee to pay for licensing fees. All the groups involved pay a fee, and that goes into cover the licensing fees. But other than that, the Secret Service will pay for all the training, any travel that's needed to send somebody to training, and the commitment, really the only commitment is that we'll attend the training and, we'll provide it as needed. It's kind of similar to what we did with the regional group that we have with the 5 surrounding towns, Woodbridge, Orange, Seymour, Ansonia, and Derby. So it's not something where you have to go all the time, but when something happens or if someone has a crime, there's somebody you could reach out specifically trained in one thing or another, sort of big time savings and convenience for us. So we're going to move forward with that.
Part of the shoreline now.
Yeah, part of the shoreline. Yeah, that's what I said. You called the shoreline group, but expanded it to Milford and Wallingford and North Branford. So little by little, everybody's jumping on the bandwagon. But everybody's strapped, for resources. So it really is a good venture.
Sounds great.
Yeah. Just an update on the Center Building and Renovation Committee. Myself and Commissioner Esposito have participated in the first 2 meetings of that recently appointed committee. Those were on June 1st and June 30th. We reviewed the committee's charge from the first selectman. We've discussed the procedure to secure an architectural and engineering firm. We've reviewed and discussed space needs assessment for both the police department and the human services. Most recently, at our last meeting, the committee toured our facility here, the full committee, and this week, I believe Wednesday or Thursday, we have our next meeting, Thursday. And we'll be touring the rest of the building and to see their needs and the space requirements. But Commissioner Esposito and I did express that, that our agreement that our department is in need of an efficient and functional public safety facility, and the design studies that were previously done and prepared back in 2009 and 2012 as the space assessment needs and design. We feel that those needs have not significantly changed from what they had already been recommended, other than the possibility of removing the mechanics garage, because that has since been relocated to the newly renovated Public Works facility, possibly increasing locker room space and increasing roll call area room. But other than that, we maintain that we need at least the space that was recommended years ago. Andy, I don't know if you have anything to add on that.
No, I think that, we've kind of gone through it. And based on, Gary, do we need a lieutenant's office? I mean, there's some things in there that it's a question of where we begin upstairs in the center school. But because Human Services, we're competing with them for space, so they need space too. So, I think, but the need hasn't really changed, even though we hired with this officer. We're hiring staffing wise, total staffing wise. We're up to what now?
23.
23. Okay.
And another dispatcher as well.
We're budgeted for how much?
24.
20.
No, we're budgeted for 23. So we'll be up to full budgeted strength.
Yeah, so budget is strength. So, but I think we have a long way to go. I mean, I think there's going to be, we don't know what the final is going to be at this point in time.
Right. And with this new firm, maybe he'll have some other concepts and
They're
design.
hiring another engineering
ideas.
firm. They're going to go through this again, so we'll see where it ends up. It started off as something smaller, and then apparently this thing has just grown, and now we have a big project.
So we'll keep the board updated as that moves forward. Just to let you know, we had a training class, or 2 training classes hosted here at the police department. There were 2 full 8-hour days, and it was done in conjunction with the public safety group and the town's dispatch consultant. Those were done on May 26th. It was a critical incident stress class, and on May 27th, a customer service class was held. The classes were very well attended, actually, not only by our dispatch staff, but also from dispatchers throughout the area, throughout the state. So that went well, and so we'll consider possibly doing that again in the future. When you host it here, some of our attendance is covered. It's free for hosting, being the hosting agency. So it actually worked out really well. And the last thing I have to report on is I'd like to formally recognize a Seymour resident. It was Mrs. Claudia Churchill, who on June 8th was very instrumental in assisting our personnel in locating an elderly resident who had dementia, who went missing and hadn't been seen for several hours. So just to briefly go over the facts of the case and put it on record. This was back on June 8th at 7 a.m. Our personnel responded to Peck Hill Road area on a report of a missing person who was last seen at 4:30 in the morning by his wife, and so he had a good several-hour jump on us. There's a lot up there, Peck Hill Road. There's all the water company property off that in the wooded area and conservation areas. But luckily at 8:41, we received a phone call from Miss Churchill, and she reported that she had seen a disoriented male dressed in a suit walking on Baldwin Road, and she thought he might be in distress. And with that, the police responded over there, and were able to quickly determine it was the missing gentleman. But because of her keen observations, that might not have happened so successfully. I'm not sure what might have happened. It could have been something more serious. So on behalf of the Woodbridge Police Department, I officially recognized her with a letter of recognition for her demonstration of prompt action, compassion, and social responsibility. I had a nice discussion with her, and even though she was very receptive to receiving our thanks and acknowledgement, she was equally very quick to share that the response of all the personnel that responded and their actions, and she had her young daughter with her, and she was saying it was like perfect storm of what public service is supposed to be and how things are supposed to work out, the combination of all. So we thank her and recognize her for that. And that's all I have for my reports.
Thank you. Is there a motion
I'll
to
move
approve the chief of police report? Is there a second? Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
I see low hands. Carries unanimously. Last item on the agenda for the police commission is personnel matters.
There's 3 items. The first one is to just update you where we are with some extended absences. So since our last meeting, over the last 2 months, we had 2 of our sergeants each out of work for several days due to COVID. So we were short-staffed for that for a while. So that was taxing on us. And then again this month and most recently, we had a dispatcher and an officer both out of work for 2 weeks, also due to COVID-related matters. And currently, we have one officer who continues to be out of work. He's been out since April 26th on a workers' compensation-related injury. And as of the most recent update, which I received this morning, he'll be out of work at least through August 1st, which is the next day of his next scheduled physician's appointment. So that's been, impacting us with our staffing and scheduling, but more so with our summer vacations and feeding into overtime costs. So to be a reflection of that, and just to keep you updated with that. Then an update on what we talked about prior. Tried to touch on our new dispatcher. Update on him. Our newest dispatcher, Anthony Beredeska. He's on board, and he actually started his first day of work as a dispatcher was June 13th. He's currently he's in training, and he's progressing very well. From his fire department experience, he has a real good handle on radio protocol and demeanor and discipline, and along with a working knowledge of the town. So he brings that with him right off the bat. He's already been working when there were several challenging calls regarding accidents suicide that we had, gunshots, and some medicals and all. All that went very well. And on the personal side, he fits in well with his fellow dispatchers and the officers. So far, he's completed all of his online training prerequisite mandates, and he's being scheduled for various training certifications on the upcoming weeks, inclusive of collect training. He has his emergency medical dispatch training. It's coming up in Stratford, at Stratford EMS in the first week of August. And then he just has some other telecommunicator, emergency fire dispatch, and 911 certifications. And that's just all pending upcoming classes. So all in all, he's progressing well, and not a problem at all. And the last thing, under personnel, I just had a letter of commendation where I'd like to formally recognize Officer Matthew Lima for his actions at locating and removing the occupant of a vehicle that had been involved in a crash and then burst into flames. I believe I sent a press release out on that you saw, but the circumstances of that case was on June 9th, 1:40 in the morning. He was on routine patrol in the Lower Amity Road business area. He heard a vehicle skidding and the sounds of a crash. Didn't know where it came from. Investigated further. Found the accident was actually in New Haven, right over the line by Fowler Street in that area there, at the junction of 63 and Whaley. He was able to remove the seriously injured driver from the car, and it burst into flames right after that. Unfortunately, the driver did later succumb to his injuries, but it was only because of his alertness, professionalism, and swift actions that the initial injuries weren't sustained. That the initial injuries sustained by the driver were not far worse. So we want to commend him for recognize his actions during that incident. And that's all I have.
Thank you.
Personnel.
I'd welcome a motion to adjourn the police commission meeting. Motion. Thank you. Second. All those in favor? Carries unanimously. It is 8:01. Welcome to the Woodbridge Traffic Authority at 8:01. First item on our agenda is public comments. Anyone from the public send any correspondence or wish to address us? Yep. Okay. Second item are the traffic matters.
Yep, just two quick items. The town has been notified of two state of Connecticut DOT transportation projects that'll be coming up. I just want to make the board aware of. The first project relates to the DOT's plan for the systematic application of proven safety countermeasures at various stop-controlled intersections that they've identified across the state. Countermeasures include enhanced signing, pavement markings to increase driver awareness at different locations. And in our town, the locations that they'll be addressing will be Amity Road at Bradley Road, Amity Road at Clark Road, Amity Road at Landon Street, Litchfield Turnpike at Landon Street, Route 243 at Route 114, and Route 313 at Johnson Road. And then the second project relates to pedestrian control feature upgrades, which we don't have very many locations for that. But to meet current DOT required standards, we will be upgrading the countdown pedestrian indicators and accessible pedestrian push buttons. And in our town, this will be done at just two locations, 69 in Merritt and Route 69 at Lucy Street. So just so the traffic authorities are aware. No, really nothing for us to do on state projects. And that's all we have for traffic.
Is there a motion to adjourn?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you. Second.
Second.
All those in favor? Nice. Carries unanimously. Good night. Thank you all.